Part of this is because of overtime, where you're picking up additional flights because your rivals who use the 737 MAX can't do some of those flights. Do you think that these are going to be long-term market share gains that you hold on to? And if that's the case, do you expect to hire more pilots instead of paying them overtime?
Yeah, we are hiring pilots, we're hiring flight attendants, we're hiring ground staff, we're hiring in all categories of the company. We're in the process of hiring 6,000 people this year and at least a like amount next year. I do expect the share gains to be held. Our Net Promoter Score, which is our key measure of customer satisfaction, is also at an all-time high. It was up 5 points year to date. So I think long term, our growth story is intact. We're going to have some costs to invest to keep the product and the service strong and keep the satisfaction growing.
Capacity is something that it's hard to, there's good times, and then sometimes it seems like it gets too good. Where is it in balance right now, Ed?
I think it's in balance, Joe. I think one of the things that's weighing on the airline stocks as a whole is the question about how the MAX returns next year, right, and what will be the sequencing of that. And I think that will be the capacity story that most investors will try to look out for. Given that we don't have it, it's not as much an issue at Delta, but to the extent there's incremental supply above demand, that will certainly put a pressure on pricing.
Ed, can you speak to that specifically? I know it's not a plane that you fly, but obviously investors are asking you questions about it. They're thinking about it in terms of the multiples and comps that they're putting on you relative to everybody else, and where this whole thing shakes out in terms of the timing on that plane, and these new reports that suggest that there's at least some kind of skirmish taking place between European regulators and the FAA and others.
Well, we don't fly the plane, Andrew, so I'm probably limited in what I can say. But I've said all along, I think it's going to take longer to get that plane back in the sky than anyone had thought, given some of the sensitivities, particularly some of those political skirmishes that you're talking about with the regulators. We expect to see that plane in the first part of next year. We look forward to competing against the plane. One thing about the MAX is all the other airlines that had it, I think, have done a very good job of holding on to their key profit pools and their key revenue pools. So to the extent that they did not have that incremental lift, it was obviously in some of the weakest markets they flew. So competitively, our outlook looks strong, and any share gains that we picked up in the year, I'm sure we're going to continue to fight hard to hold.